Hey everyone, welcome to the first day of the month of our 30-day challenge, which is part of the greater 90-day wellness challenge. And this next 30 days is dedicated to home detox. And so I encourage you guys to consider for the next 30 days to continue with all of the things we've discussed in the first 30 days. If you're joining this as just the home detox challenge, you can just start today. If you are wanting to sort of get your body back on track as well, you can start today as well. If you haven't done the wellness challenge, you can start that part. But this is our purpose challenge. And then next month, you can follow along with us as we do our abundance challenge. And that's gonna go sort of back into a body detox. So it's been really fun to be able to speak into your lives and hang out with you guys for the first 30 days. Hopefully the second 30 days is gonna be amazing. So as always, I want to share another little trick because as we're moving through this, I'm encouraging you to get on to the red drink. The red drink is something that is very transformational for many people. Dr. Peter Minke came up with this many years ago, I think, I'm not entirely sure exactly when he came up with it, but I know it was at least a couple years ago, to help us flush our systems a little bit better, to help add more water to your life, to help support a healthy liver, right? So I'm going to share with you something where, just a little trick on how to do this. So I split my red drink into two. So his recipe is to do one large bottle for the whole day, but I like to do it times two. So I'm going to use a glass. I can never get the red drink back into the Ningxia Red bottle, so I don't even try because, you guys, I make a mess. So I have put the actual powder in the dry glass. So this is something to consider trying. The powder is in the dry glass, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my lime essential oil here and drip this into the powder. Okay, so I put the 2 drops into the powder. I'm going to add 1 drop of peppermint because I like it. So if you want to add an extra essential oil for flavor, like tangerine would probably be one of the best. That's one of my favorites because it's really sweet. But when I add peppermint, the reason that I add peppermint is because peppermint's going to actually help your circulatory system internally. So if you've not used peppermint before, it helps your respiration, right? Your respiratory system, helps open your lungs, helps your body to oxygenate a little bit better. It's an interesting thing, the whole oxygenation thing when it comes to essential oils, but what it's doing is it's just helping my lung capacity expand. But what that peppermint's also doing is it's supporting my circulatory system. And so I love that because I typically have really cold hands and feet, and if I add peppermint, even just 1 drop once a day, my husband doesn't complain about my cold tootsies. Okay, like my cold feet, my cold hands. So I have the essential oils in the powder, and they've sort of, you can see on the bottom of the glass there, maybe, let's see if that'll adjust, yep, that they have, they're infiltrating the powder. So that's a good thing. And why we want that is because it's going to, rather than it being more encapsulated in water, it's going to help with the overall mix, right? Mixing this up well. People ask me all the time why sometimes I teach adding essential oils into your diffuser first and then putting water, because most of you learn to just fill it with water and then add your essential oils. But putting the oils in first will allow those molecules to stick on the surface of the diffuser itself, and then when you put the water in, at least the aroma of your diffuser will last longer. With the oils on top, it's undulating in there, and the oils themselves will just kind of float off a little bit faster. So then I'm going to put my Ningxia Red in here. And you can see I'm just for sake of ease, I'm using a packet today. So the reason I'm then putting the Ningxia Red in next is because Ningxia is pre-mixed and has, if you ever have seen the bottle, right, the fibers of the wolfberry float to the bottom, that puree, which is so beautiful. So we do have to shake it every once in a while. But there are about 3 drops of essential oils in Ningxia Red. And those oils aren't just floating on the top. Ningxia Red does have a pretty good job at dispersing a little bit better. So this is just a method to help you guys maybe have it a little bit mixed better. And then I'm going to add my water to this. All right. And I will drink this over the next hour or so. And I use a straw. I like to have a metal straw. And typically I do this if I let it sit for a little bit and the puree kind of settles, I'll just blow a bubble. Just one pushes that puree up and around, and then I'll take a sip. It's way more mixed this way. So just so you're aware, that's a little trick on how to mix your red drink. Okay, so let's dive into our 30-day challenge on our home detox. Now, it's interesting because this is a home detox, but this week we are covering the endocrine system and your hormones. So you might think, well, Jen, what is my endocrine system and my hormones? What does it have to do with my home health? Okay, well, most of us are in our homes a good amount of time. Unless you travel all the time, you're in your home at least for a third of your entire life because of your sleeping time. If you only are out of the home 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day, that would be that you're in your home for 2/3 of your entire life. So if you start really considering the math, it's an interesting thing to consider how our home can directly affect our health. And when we look at purpose, and so this second book of the 30, so there's 90 days, and each 30 days in the 90 days, so there's 3 sets of 30, that's the 90 days. Each 30 days is dedicated to a different section. So our first section we talked about wellness, and this is the wellness book, and it's all essential oils and just getting the basics of things. We really wanted to get a handle on the basics, and the basics did cover, like, are you getting enough sleep? Are you drinking enough water? Are you getting enough exercise? Those things are really important. When it comes to the second book, it's on purpose, and the purpose part for the toxic-free home is really connecting your overall wellness. There's 8 specific aspects of wellness, and if you take those 8 aspects and consider them in relationship to the health of your home, it's pretty interesting to see that correlation. So the 8 aspects of wellness would be your physical wellness, your emotional wellness, your intellectual wellness, your spiritual wellness, your social wellness, your environmental wellness, your occupational wellness, and also your financial wellness. So those are 8 areas that when we think about the word balance, I have heard so many educators and coaches and life gurus, even billionaires. You know, I used to photograph some of the wealthiest people on the planet, and when I say that, I mean that. These were the movers and the shakers of the world, the wealthiest people on the planet, and I would get to sit at their feet as the photographer and listen to their lectures, okay? The names that I could give you, you would know all of these people. And I would sit there and listen to them, and oftentimes they would breach the subject of balance. And it always made me giggle a little bit because I disagreed with them on their thoughts on balance. And again, remember, these are really aggressive brains. And what I mean by that is they're just super active people in their intellect, and they're the ones who are innovators. They're the ones who invent things and create things for us, you know, that are the things we all use. And it was interesting to me because there was this one lecture that talked about balance from the perspective of the most effective people, the most brilliant people, the most genius people, the people who infect us the most, right, with change on a level that we think, wow, what would we do without our phone, right, in my hand that's on my hip every single day, you know, that kind of thing. They have said that the interesting thing about those people is that they, when they relax, when they do nothing, they turn off, that it's this shutdown, that balance is unattainable. Because if they were to try to reach balance, they'd be dead. I mean, this was what was always said as a joke, like, you know, I'm balanced when I'm in my coffin, right? And I always thought, what in the world? Because I identify with people like that because my brain is constantly working and I'm constantly actively partaking in life. And I feel like I identify with that, you know, aggressive need to move forward and do things. And absolutely, like I can sit and stare at a tree and the leaves rustling for like a couple hours, no problem. Like I can turn my brain off. But here's the difference. I honestly think balance is attainable through, and in big part, your home. Because I find that when your home life, where you dwell is out of whack, is unhealthy, it causes your endocrine system, your hormones, to be so disrupted to where you're either manically getting things done and then completely depressed, right? Or you're so exhausted and you don't understand why, because your body is sick, and so you don't get much done, right? So there's all sorts of people. If we were to look at a cross-section of all of you watching right now, you would have a different story. Every single one of you would have a different story about an area you feel out of balance. And you can take physical, emotional, intellectual, spiritual, social, environmental, occupational, and financial. You can take those 8 areas and you could say, well, yeah, physically I feel fit and I feel like that's the only thing I have control over, but emotionally I'm totally out of whack. Or you could say, I feel like intellectually I do pretty well and I'm active with my mind and I keep my mind, you know, all you Sudoku players out there or whatever, you're keeping your mind active, or you're involved in groups and study groups and you're, you know, sparring with people and keeping that intellect up, or you're a writer and you're, you know, a reader and those types of things. But maybe your social world is out of balance. You don't have many friends. You don't feel like you connect well with others, right? There's this lack of balance when it comes to these areas in your life. You know, I honestly feel like if you were to look at your own foundation, what it is that your core values are, right? Because not every single one of these will matter to everybody. And I would honestly say some of you have no problems with financial balance. And some of you, that's a huge one. Some of you are like emotionally fine, right? You know, like I don't have issues with emotions typically, but you know, when I do, I always think, is something out of balance? No, you know, I think that possibly, and I have to go back and look at what's going on in my home life, what's going on in my home specifically that could be toxic to any of these areas. And it's very interesting when you start to see core values. Like, for instance, if a core value of yourself is spending time with family, but your work is taking you away from family, you will feel out of balance, right? So part of this balance is looking at what your core values are. Out of all of these 8, which ones are the most important to you? And if you can keep those in tune, then you'll be balanced. However, and this is where the home comes into play, because I hear gurus talking about this all the time, that you can, you know, work out your own balance. And you know, from a spiritual perspective, I think, like, really, like, good luck with that. How's that working out for you? Because for me, a lot of it, all of it actually is God. And so, you know, for you, if you're not a spiritual person, or if you're not a faith-based person, that will look different for you, right? But the thing is, from a spiritual perspective, a faith-based perspective, or a non-faith-based perspective, I'm going to tell you right now, your home is going to play a big role into that. So let's just cover both, right? So from a faith-based perspective, and I know a lot of you guys who follow me are faith-based humans, right? But here's the interesting thing to me. If I'm treating my temple and trashing it and feeding it candy, guess what happens? My physical, my emotional, my intellectual, my spiritual, my social, my environmental, my occupational, and my financial sort of gets jacked. It gets hijacked. It's an interesting thing when you think that through, that my simple act of damaging something like what I'm eating, if I'm putting synthetics into my body or on my body, personal care items, you know, all this stuff. If you watch the intro to this next 30 days, you'll know that there's all these things that attribute to, that are in our home that are inexplicably bad. Like that you think, what? That can't be. But the thing that I want to help you understand is that there's such a gross amount of toxins in your life, potentially, right? Depends on who you are, that things can disrupt balance in a big way and your emotional distress. So I want to tell you a quick story. I have cleaned up fairly well. And what I mean by that is I used to just oil, and then I realized the value of cleaning up my cleaning supplies, cleaning up my personal care products, not having fragrance anymore, cleaning up any synthetic molecule in my body whatsoever. And what's interesting to me is now, because I'm fairly clean, and I can't say 100% clean, fairly clean, that when I revert back, right, when I start eating Snickers bars every day, right? And it happens sometimes around Halloween, right? The other day we were at Costco and we saw one of those big, huge bags of minis, the mini candy bars. And I thought, well, that's not so bad, right? You can have one, right? Moderation. Okay, who am I kidding? I'm not the girl of moderation. If it's in my house, it's going to be in my belly, right? And so, I mean, I went for about a week of eating probably 10 to 20 of these little minis a day and rapidly declining in the balance of my entire life. I'm talking rapidly declining to the point where I was angry with people quickly. You know, my filter was bad, to not sleeping well, to gaining some weight, to, you know, spiritually being forgetful. I mean, it was an interesting kind of like trauma that was happening, to the kind of apex of the entirety of me eating all of this candy was my body being in so much pain. And I have major flare-ups from synthetics. So when excuse me, I need some of this Ninja Red. I've been talking all day. When I treat my body poorly, when I invite synthetics in, I have a massive inflammation, and I'm talking to the point of I can't really even walk. So we were heading up to Mammoth, and I went, we were 40 minutes out. We were in Norco, and we were all hungry because we had left right at around lunchtime. So we got out to go get lunch, and I usually go in to get everything. So I got out of the car, and I will tell you, everything was on fire. My hips were hurting, my knees were hurting. What hurt the most, which was odd to me because this normally doesn't hurt, was my ankles. I couldn't even walk. I was hobbling out of the car, and that hobbling sensation really freaked me out. I thought, what in the world is happening here? And it dawned on me that it was this stuff I was putting in my body, that my body, it's foreign. My body doesn't usually have that, and in that amount, right? So I was putting fuel onto the forest fire, right? I had successfully eliminated the forest fire, but you know, there's a little spark there every once in a while because we're human, and I live in this world. And I had then poured gasoline on it with all of this candy, right? With all of these preservatives and excitotoxins, neurotoxins. And what's interesting about neurotoxins, when we start to understand these toxins in your brain, neurotoxins are synthetic fragrance. And so often you're going to hear people talk about synthetic preservatives as being the culprit. And you're going to hear them talking about specific chemicals that cause issues, right? And different things like solvents in fragrances, or chemical compounds like, I mean, how often are you actually painting something, right? I mean, we talk about toluene, right? And I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but toluene is this like highly volatile compound that you find in like nail polish, right? When you smell glues, like glue sniffers, you can get high off of it. You know, I'm not smelling that too often, but those are what are considered neurotoxins or excitotoxins. But then you look at things like phthalates, and phthalates are solvents in fragrances to help extend the aroma. You guys, phthalates are in so many things. There are so many companies out there that claim that they are a wellness company, or that they are, you know, they put like a little leaf as their logo. And you think that they should be synthetic free. Your mind goes to synthetic free. It is just a form of greenwashing. And I want to encourage you, if you have an aroma that sticks in your clothing, right, from laundry detergent, or if those ones that have the booster, right, or if you have anything that is a cleaning supply that has a pretty strong aroma, I'm going to warn you right now, those are phthalates, and phthalates are more damaging than you think, because those synthetic fragrant molecules are neurotoxins that end up literally eating away your brain cells. So that's what an excitotoxin does. And that fragrance molecule is not just found in our cleaning products and our lotions. I mean, how many of you guys have a shampoo or a body wash or something that you use that is just so aromatic? I was sitting in a prayer meeting this morning with some gals from my church, and you know, we're all like sitting around 6 feet apart and in this great little prayer meeting, and I could smell every one of them. We were 6 feet apart. Anytime the wind shifted, I'm like, you are so full of synthetic fragrance. We don't realize it. And I guarantee you I was probably the only one in the circle that could smell them all, because I don't use it anymore. Because my olfactory system, right, is cleared out. So it's almost impossible for me to walk anywhere or go to a movie without smelling other people's synthetics. Synthetic fragrant molecules are so toxic to our endocrine system, and here's why. The synthetic fragrance comes into my nose. It's synthetic. It has been manufactured and designed to excite a brain cell. It's a neuroexciter. So what that's doing is it's sending a signal. It's attaching itself to a molecule in your olfactory system, right? It's then sending a signal into your brain that's saying, oh, like peach smell. Well, there's no actual like natural peach fragrance, by the way. Like you can't just rub a peach on and smell like a peach. Like in order for that peach fragrance to stay on, it's a synthetic peach fragrance. So the peach smell now is, my mind is going, oh, I love it. Because this is how our world is now. It's this, I love it, right? This is so weird to me. This is pre-getting clean. This is most of us before we understand how this works. And your brain cell goes, I love it, 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 pop! And it explodes. That is what's called an excitotoxin. It excites the brain cell so much so that it literally explodes. So we see this crossover in food. And this is why, you know, I was talking about eating candy, because some of you might have thought, well, aren't we talking about home cleaning, detoxing the home? Why are you talking about candy? Well, I'm going to detox my home by getting rid of the synthetic molecule fragrant candy. Did you catch that? Excitotoxins are in candy. So a prime example of this, so just to help you understand, molecular fragrance in the food industry is so intense that you're going to see excitotoxins labeled as natural flavoring, natural flavors, natural, you know, whatever. You see these interesting words and you think, oh, natural, it should be natural. Young Living will put that on their labels sometimes as like, it'll say like natural flavor. They actually mean that. And I've had a direct conversation with the chief science officer, Dr. Michael Book, who confirmed with me that when they say like a natural lemon flavor, that's actually lime essential oil, right? So So we can rest assured in our company that these are not excitotoxins. In the science world, in the food industry, the most common one would be MSG, right? Some of you guys have heard about MSG, and you'll see certain maybe Chinese restaurants that they'll have a sign on the door that says, "We don't use MSG." Well, if you go to some restaurants, they don't claim that, like Wood Ranch Grill. How many of you guys have a Wood Ranch Grill in your neighborhood and you love their little like garlic bread things, and then you dip it in their delicious barbecue sauce? The next time you go in there, pick up the bottle and read the ingredients. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's listed MSG right on the bottle. And what MSG is it's an excitotoxin. It's an aroma. It's not a taste. This is what's so interesting to me about these molecules. They're fragrance molecules. So the majority, you know when you get sick and you can't, like everything's stuffed up and you think, why can't I taste anything? You can't taste anything, generally speaking, because all of our food industry is synthetic molecule fragrance. What happens is when you take a bite of whatever that is that you just put in your mouth that was, processed, it has an excitotoxin molecules. It has fragrant molecules that go into your nose and tell your brain. This is how science works. Those molecules tell your brain it tastes good. So you're tasting saltiness, but you're not. You're actually smelling the salt. That's what's so crazy to me, is that they're aromatic molecules tricking your brain into thinking it tastes good. So what that's doing is it's causing you to be an addict to it. It's why you go back again and again and again for a Twinkie, right? But the moment you stop eating it, you don't crave it anymore. Meaning the moment you stop eating it for any length of time. So that's the point, is that we want to get rid of as many synthetic molecules as we can, and a lot of them are in our processed foods. So I just encourage you to start reading labels. So that's kind of one of your challenges this week, is to really look around. And on the challenge, I do say, like, your personal care products and your, cleaning supplies. But if you want to take that challenge as like a little bit over and above, I'm going to encourage you to really start reading your ingredients as well. And you might even want to look into, there's a book called Excitotoxins, The Taste That Kills. You can check that book out. It's like super old, probably hard to find, but just interesting reading. But start looking this up for yourself. Some of you guys maybe don't even believe me on this, because it's kind of like, what? How is this even possible? But this is the way it is. This is the way manufacturers get you to buy their product again and again and again. And it's why so many of us health educators are trying so hard to get people to eat clean food. Eat things on the outside of the grocery store, not in the inside, right? Not the things that are processed. So I want you to also, though, this week, so you're going to audit your home. We're going to really take a look at what is in there that's killing you. What is in there that is disrupting your endocrine system? Because that's what all of this is doing. It's disrupting your endocrine system. So what does that look like? It's taking your hormones and messing them up, right? So that's what an endocrine disruptor is. So part of that, though, is slowing down for just a bit. Part of this challenge this week is to get an extra 30 minutes in a day of just like quiet time. And I've tried in every single week to give you a challenge that you can do without having to buy anything, right? I think it's important for us to get healthy and not feel like we're obligated to buy anything. But clearly, the number one thing, if I were to say the number one thing that has drastically improved my endocrine system, and what I mean by that is this aha moment of, I have more energy, I sleep better, I wake up without an alarm, I have so much focus during the day. You guys, I am a more productive person now than I was 20 years ago. That's crazy for some people. In my 20s, I was less productive, and I had a very strong brain back then. I am far more productive now in my 40s than I was in my 20s. And I will tell you, the biggest difference is the fact that I've taken out the synthetic cleaners in my home. The things that cause my hormones to be disrupted. And I told you the story last week, you know, when we were doing the intro to this next 30 days, about the old shampoo I found in, or it was a conditioner that I had found in, you know, my cabinet, like up in the back. And I was like, oh, it's pretty much full. It was so bad. And I used to use that every day. And it's so interesting to me that the more you clean up, the more you're going to see your endocrine system open up. You're going to see your hormones start to regulate. It's like so incredible. And the reason I teach this is because I want so badly for you all to have what I have, right? You think about anything you find in your life that is amazing, you want other people to know about it. I had a gal ask me just yesterday, hey Jen, have you ever thought of writing a book on the Endo 180 that you did with us like years ago? And my quick answer was, oh no, I couldn't do that. I'm not a nutritionist. And then I thought about that and I thought, well, that's just an excuse, right? The Endo 180 is a very powerful thing that we did a couple years ago, and it helped a lot of people. And that wasn't part of my lesson today, but I thought, you know, if it's going to help somebody, if some of you guys are drowning and you're like, I need more, because what we did with this challenge is I'm doing it month by month, and sometimes the month has 5 weeks in it. And so rather than doing 5 weeks instead of 4, we are just going to skip to the first of the month. So anytime you start this challenge, just start on day 1. If you want to start on day 15 as your day 1, great. I'm a numbers gal, and so for me it's a lot easier to track on like the first of the month, right? I'm going to start something on the first of the month. It just is helpful for me to track my progress. But some of you were like, I'm frustrated because I wanted to start like on Wednesday, like, you know, instead of Saturday, and I get that frustration. So I want to start offering you some more. And what I mean by that is go over to endo180.com. It's all there. It's not really active because it was just set up as a, here, study this yourself, dive in yourself, get your diet changed. It's huge. I offer product suggestions, right? So endo180.com is just a place that you can go that would be like a sub area. But also, I encourage you guys to go back to week 1 of the 90-day wellness challenge. So just go over to vitalityedu.com/90 days. I encourage you all to get into the actual wellness course because there's a lot more content in there. And then I also want to encourage you guys to just check out the site. We've got just a hormones section. So you can go to vitalityedu.com/hormones. And you'll see a bunch on there about things to kind of help you out with just your hormones, and it will go through like an 11 item checklist for you to work through. So I hope that this has been helpful. Again, you can download the tracker for this challenge number 5. Even though this is week 1 of the second 30 days, it's still technically week 5 of the total 90-day wellness challenge. And I hope you're following along. I hope this encourages you to get some of the Thieves line products. That, again, like I said, was the most life-changing thing for me to do, is to swap all of my Thieves product, like all of my products out with Thieves line things and all of my personal care products. Do go ahead and get the book at 31oils.com/purpose. This is the brand new book, and it is unlike any book you have access to. You know, it's funny. My husband is like, why are these selling so much faster? And I said, it's because we don't have anything like this. This is going over every single ingredient in every single Thieves line product and what those ingredients do. Plus, it's giving hacks, like recipe hacks on practically every single product. There's over 40 hacks in this book. So this has become a little bit of a, like, super popular. He's like, you're gonna have to order more because these are flying out too fast. So get that. If you haven't already, it's at 31oils.com/purpose. It will be on Amazon eventually. Amazon's a little funny about like long books. They don't really make them, so we have to figure out a way to kind of reproduce them for you guys. The wellness book is on Amazon, so you can get that. Again, it's a little bit different format, so we just had to change it up a bit. But yeah, I hope this has been fun for you, and we will see you soon. All right, take care, guys. Bye.